that. Let me see. So what I'm doing right now, thanks for tuning in. I'm watching just a bunch of videos real quick. I'm gonna splice this all up, put this all on the tube. This next one is, ladies, y'all holding y'all man down. Actually, we're gonna do this one. This one is Doug Casey, Third World Countries versus America. This is a really interesting one, you guys. Very, very. This is a personal one. I really thought this was an extremely interesting video. As somebody that really plans on going to other countries and making a lot of money, I think it's always interesting to hear what other people of different tax brackets and what they got to say about certain things. Any gameplay today? What have I been up to? Yeah, I'm just doing reactions right now. It's just gonna be a bunch of reactions for today. I did a bunch of them going on, so I got a couple more videos that I'm about to do. Then I got 2 topics, monologues that I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna respond to comments a little bit later, and I'll do that live too. Gameplay, I plan on doing game stream tomorrow. Doing that. But yes, I'm just doing reactions for right now. And actually, we watched this one. So this video, really interesting. Nomad, here, I'll show you guys real quick so you guys can look at their channel. This right here. This channel is about being rich and going to other countries. But this video in particular, you guys, was very, very fucking weird. Really, really weird. The reason why it was weird was because it just sounded like some modern day colonialism type of shit, man. It's a bunch of rich people going to other countries, and let's just listen to what they got to say.
For living and investing overseas, and today I'm going to share with you some of his best tips. Today I'm going to share with you some of Doug Casey's best thoughts, direct from his own mouth, on how to live and invest overseas, including in up-and-coming markets that no one's talking about, his meetings with politicians, his thoughts on lowering your taxes, even why he prefers inefficient governments to more efficient ones. He's lived in Argentina and Uruguay. He's done deals in Africa and Asia. He's one of the great speculators of our time, and he's going to tell you how he did it in just a minute. If it's your first.
The key part of this little interview of the video is why he prefers inefficient governments over efficient governments. This person, Doug Casey, prefers inefficient governments over efficient governments. And listen to his reason why. Crazy.
First time here, my name's Andrew Henderson. I'm the founder of Nomad Capitalist. We're a boutique consulting firm for 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors who want to legally reduce your taxes overseas, protect your assets, get a dual citizenship to make sure you remain free. We're also the host of the best offshore conference in the world called Nomad Capitalist Live, where Doug Casey spoke last year.
Look, one of the nice things about so-called third world countries is that the governments are much less efficient and much less effectual than in the U.S. And all of these third world countries tend to be actually much more corrupt than the U.S. The U.S. is still, among the good things about it, is it's still a relatively high trust society. There's not a lot of corruption, really.
You'd argue spending $1 billion to run for president seems a little corrupt.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But in the U.S., it's generally dangerous to bribe a cop if he pulls you over. It can be, it's done all the time, but it's generally dangerous to bribe. You got to be careful to bribe most government officials. But in the third world, it's not only not so dangerous, but it's kind of expected. So the U.S. is moving in that direction, though, obviously. But that's a double-edged sword, because when you have all these laws, if you don't have corruption, and if they enforce those stupid laws, of which there are millions, well, you can't do anything. So corruption actually becomes a good thing.
You're saying in the U.S. it's hard to do anything?
Yes, exactly. We got all these laws, but it's hard to get around them. And in Argentina, we got all those laws, but you can get around them.
So you like it much better in Argentina, much better in Uruguay?
Yeah, despite the fact that Argentina's got a perfectly horrible government. I mean, they're an exemplar of stupidity on every level. Uruguay.
But this guy said he prefers inefficient governments because he can pay things off. I can get around the law with little cash. My American dollars are worth so much more money than what they got in Uruguay, Argentina. Shit, $10 and I could do whatever I want for the most part. Pay off a little police officer, traffic ticket. Tell you what, listen, you take these $5 right here because I know my $5 are worth 500 of your currency. And how about we just look the other way? You know, let's the way I see this though, he's talking about something a lot more insidious than just fucking traffic tickets. Come on, let's be real about this, you guys. Y'all seen the movies of human trafficking and shit like that, you guys? Like, come on. I'm not saying that he's doing that, but it's like, realistically, if you can get around the law like that, come on, what else are you gonna be doing? What else are these people with this kind of cash doing? You know what I mean? Like this is
Somewhat better. But you know, these countries, anything can change with the next election.
You said, though, in Argentina, you felt that at one point the government treated you as just some wealthy gringo, and all right, let him do his thing. We got other fish to fry. Is that a correct summary?
Pretty much. If you're not a citizen, you're owned by another government. So it gives you a little bit of insulation. You're a foreigner, they can kick you out. My Spanish is good enough for taxi drivers and restaurant workers, but I can't carry on a philosophical conversation in Spanish, so I can't rock the boat. And they're happy to have me there because I bring, money and employ the people. And so, yeah, it's despite the fact that Argentina is very, very problematical. For me, it's a very pleasant place to be.
This is one of the things that people seem to bring up. Well,
it's a pleasant place to be. I can just pay off if I have any problems. I can just pay you off. I'm just, I'm just an American. I'm just a little gringo. Any problems you got going on here? Here's some money. That'll solve all the problems. I really wish we could have seen the list of Maxwell Gislane's information and shit like that. The sheet, that just all of a sudden got deleted. That would be for an interesting YouTube video, wouldn't it? Interesting conversation, yeah?
You don't have certain freedom of speech in some places. They'll mention Singapore, and I kind of wonder why would you want, out of all the places you could move, why would you want to move there and start protesting? I mean, it seems like to me that's why you're leaving. It's just to kind of float above someplace.
Exactly. I don't get involved in politics anywhere. I will make, philosophical ideas and concepts I have. I love to have those kind of conversations with anybody that'll listen. But I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to convince anybody. So, I'm just, no matter where I can go, I can be a crazy, entertaining gringo from their point of view. And not threatening, because I'm not political.
What do you think about Uruguay?
Even though I'm an anarchist, I don't believe in the state.
What do you think about Uruguay, who came out and said, we're not going to raise taxes, or since you're there?
Well, let me say that Uruguay is very overrated in many ways.
Sure.
Tell you how stupid, well, I guess I can say this. I'll tell you how stupid the average Uruguayan is. It's a welfare state to start with. It's one of the very oldest welfare states in the world, which is a pretty unsound foundation. That's the bad news. The good news is there are only 3.5 million.
Does that go against terms of service? What he just said? How stupid the average Uruguayan is. Wow. When you have enough money, you can get away saying stuff like that. Apparently. Wow. When I saw this video for the first time, I was like, modern day colonialization. Modern day colonizers. This is the modern day colonizer. I feel like this channel is how to be a colonizer in 2022. And I still like it. I still like the channel. It's great information. You know why? It's because what is illegal over here in this country, I think like this happened when I moved from Missouri to Texas. I realized how huge the world was. The first time I ever saw a Muslim person, the first time I ever saw Asians in mass, the first time I ever saw Hispanic people. Like in my city where I grew up in high school, it was all white and black. I can count on my hands, both hands, how many other races of people were outside of black and white. Literally. And so coming to Texas, I was like, oh my God, this is a brand new place. Your mind expands when you travel. And so if you live in America all your life, all you know are American rules, American laws. But when you go to other countries, it's an entirely, completely different ball game. Entirely different game, you guys. Entirely different world. And so that's why I like this channel, because I'm able to hear these things like this. And you know, unfortunately, even though he's saying some very, very disheartening things, it's something I can't really relate to because I'm not in this position. And so therefore it makes it a bit more like, I mean, it still makes it a bit interesting. Doesn't mean I agree with what he's saying, but jeez.
People, and it's basically a farming country. But
So it's a lot easier to do that with better than 350 million people now.
That's right. That's right. And actually, I was talking about corruption a minute ago, but Uruguay is one of the two least corrupt countries in Latin America, no question about that. But I'll tell you how stupid, well, Uruguayans are no more stupid than people everywhere. But about 6 years ago, I think, they had a plebiscite that voted in an income tax. I'm not talking about an income tax was foisted on them by a legislature. It was voted in by plebiscite. They voted to have an income tax put in. That's bad. Look, there's all kinds of things. You live in because the legislature, nobody's life or property is safe when the legislature's in session. Like one of the major things in Uruguay is tourism. My estancia is close to Punta del Este, which is kind of it's one of those 3 or 4 jet set places in South America. And so what did they do a few years ago? They passed a 0.00 tolerance drunk driving law. So you dare not, in a beach resort in the summer, you dare not have a drink. And they have checkpoints that are set up during the temporada, during the season, to arbitrarily test you. And you better not get caught. So there's all kinds of nuisances with Uruguay I can go on to. But they leave me alone, generally speaking. They do leave me alone, and it's pleasant and peaceful.
So just for context, what he just said was, he said that in Argentina or Uruguay, on a beach resort, they have a zero tolerance for blood alcohol levels, 0.0001% or something like that. That's ridiculous. You can't have a drink. You literally have a sip, you're going to jail. In Texas, the legal blood alcohol level is illegal. You're legally considered intoxicated when you have 0.08%. 0.08%. The legal breath, so 0.08%. You can have a drink or two. You could probably even have a beer or two, and it's still legal for you to drive here in the state of Texas. In Uruguay, you're at a beach resort, you have a sip of a margarita, you're going to jail. That's freaking interesting. You know what I mean? Another example of different things fly in different countries, you guys. That's crazy.
Peaceful. You don't have to worry about the Frito Bandito or rebels. Although they did have rebels during the 80s and the military government at that time. Nothing like Argentina, where the generals probably killed about 20,000 citizens. But in Uruguay, there were probably about 500 that were disappeared.
If you were to do it all over again, would Latin America be the continent of choice?
Well, I'm a big fan of Africa as a speculator, as a kind of an entrepreneur, as it were, a political entrepreneur, everything.
think I'm gonna leave it at there. I'm gonna leave it at that point. Actually, let's finish what he has to say about Africa.
So politicized there. But where would I go? You know, because I've lived in, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 countries. I could count them up. And I visited 160, most numerous times. Basically been living outside of the U.S., living in the United States, out of the United States for the last 40 years. So would I go back to Latin America? Well, what are your alternatives? I mean, that's why, you know, I kind of got into the hobby that I have that's related to this, which is visiting shithole countries and getting an appointment with the president or the military dictator or whoever
How do
it
you
is.
do that?
It's
For the
actually,
viewers who want to get an appointment also.
well,
You guys, he's going to get into the perks and benefits of being a rich gringo and what you can do in third world countries. We always think of Britain, France, America, Spain. He said his hobby is visiting shithole third world countries and visiting with the dictators, the generals, the high, like, listen to what he's about to say about this, you guys. This is like, what? Wow.
it's not easy if you're just you know, a gulak off the street. But I'm fortunate in that over the years, because I've written a lot and I've spoken a lot, and you know, wind up with, well, look, for instance, I've played polo, no longer do, but I played polo for 20 years. You say, okay, so what? I play golf, I play tennis. That's good. But polo is kind of a special sport. And in any country in the world where they play it, if I go to the polo club, I'm automatically one of the boys of, you know, because these are the rich guys in the
It's
country.
not exactly a low level.
Exactly. And so you meet somebody, you talk to them, and, you know, you go home to dinner, you meet friends. And it's pretty easy in these countries.
Not easier
to
than
do.
meeting the president of the United States or something like that.
Yeah.
The guy's just hanging around, right? So you're going
Exactly.
to these countries.
You know, and there's always, like, for instance, I'm very interested in art, painting and sculpture. So that's something that people in these countries that are connected do. And you know, go there, one thing leads to another. I mean, it used to be, I don't do this anymore, really, that I'd wander into the capital city of someplace, don't know anybody, don't know anything. So I would open up the Yellow Pages, which existed in those days, and do two things. I'd go to lawyers, because they know everybody, they're absolutely wired if you go to the right law firm. And I'd interview a bunch of lawyers. They're happy to talk to you. Who knows? I might be a rich guy that can give them business.
Throw him a retainer, perhaps.
No, not necessarily.
Don't even hire them.
No, I'm interviewing them
Okay.
to hire them. And if we get along, then one thing leads to another. And look, in Dominica, for instance, this is kind of an interesting story. I went there and
That's crazy, you guys. He would go to other countries, doesn't know anybody, open up the Yellow Pages. Flipping through it, I'm gonna talk to the lawyers. They know everybody. I'm gonna get some crazy connections. I'm gonna find out who the powerful people are so that I can get tapped in. That's some stuff. That's some type of thinking that would have never even dawned on to me. There are different modes, like ways of moving. What did Meek Mill say? There's levels to this shit. I was just talking about this the other day. Not saying to offend anybody, of course. But this is just what this reminded me of. When people talk about white privilege can only exist when in comparison to in comparison to other races. So, once again, this guy said, I go to shithole countries. I prefer to go to shithole countries. Not the countries where there's majority white people. I want to go to shithole countries. What does that come to mind? What do you think of when you think of shithole countries? It's not going to be a lot of people that look like him there. More than likely, right? White privilege can only exist if you're going to if you're with other races of people. And so when people say that white privilege doesn't exist, that actually may be their reality. That may be their truth. That's why I don't get offended when somebody would say something like that. Oh, white privilege doesn't exist, you know? Well, what have you experienced in this life? If you've only lived in America, if you've only gone to Britain, if you've only, your only privilege, your only experience is going to be in relation to other people that look just like you. And so, therefore, this color of your skin isn't going to just grant you open doors. Like, it just isn't going to open doors the way it's going to be when you go to Africa. As him, right? If you're an African or if you're of another race, I'm pretty sure I'm not speaking a foreign language when I say that foreigners get treated differently. Right? So, I just thought that was a really interesting video. I'll absolutely splice this up and link the full here it is again, you guys. The Nomad Capitalists right there, man. They are pretty interesting stuff there, you guys. I love checking their stuff out every now and then. Really good channel. Really, really good channel. I thought that was pretty freaking fantastic. So